And the recent OT, the notion of the notion of alignment has assumed a range of applications, including the study of morpheme structure. And the objective of my paper is to investigate the theoretical background of generalized alignment, both before and after the advent of optimal theory. That is, what was there before OT and what was there after the OT. And second one is to study the alignment of Assamese morphemes under the theory of generalized alignment. This is the content of my paper, the pre-OT generalized alignment, post-OT generalized alignment, about the language, generalized alignment of Assamese morphemes, prefixation, suffixation, conclusion, and references. Pre-OT generalized alignment. Here, in pre-OT generalized alignment, basically we found of theoretical background like the English theory of syntax-prosody interaction was developed by Selkirk in 1886, and it says that basically the syntax-prosody interaction, and it studies the syntax-prosody relation on the level of the phrase and the mapping syntactic phrases to prosodic phrases and aligning syntactic phrases and phonological phrases, constant directing that the left and right edges of XPs be aligned with the those of phonological phrases. And there is a claim called warp XP that each syntactic XP must be contained within a phonological phrase. This is pre-OT, and then we have post-OT generalized alignment. That is what was there after the after optimal theory. A universal collection of restrictions that are hierarchically ranked on a language specific basis in optimality theory. The relationship between input to output. As we know that the OT is a constraint based model, and the OT models the grammars as system that provide a mapping from input to output. And whether an affix is default prefixes or default suffixes, whether or not an affix is influenced by phonological pressures, whether or not an affix is contiguous. And analyzing morpheme position within optimality theory, both phonological category are connected, that is speaker this means the prosodic category, and the morphological, or we can say that grammatical categories, that is Z cat should coincide. This is the formation for generalized alignment. That the formula, the first two lines state that it is the function for generalized alignment of category 1 and category 2. That means category 1 or category 2 means the grammatical structure and prosodic structure. And the align constraint requires that the edge of the category 1 and category 2 must coincide or align. And second two lines states that category 1 and category 2 are subset of the prosodic category and grammatical category, where H1 and H2 are the subset of the alignment called right and left. And given below are the constituent H in generalized alignment. We have three constituents like align L, that means left align. Grammatical category, we can also say it as ZR word, and prosodic category, we can also say it PR word, and edges are left and right, we know. And second one is align R, and third one is align morph L. And the first one, align L, it refers that the left edge of the grammatical word coincide with the left edge of the prosodic word. And the second constituent say that align R, the right edge of the grammatical word coincide with the right edge of a syllable. And the third one said that the align morph L, the left edge of a morpheme coincide with the left edge of a syllable. This is this is the schematic representation for the grammatical generalized alignment. And this diagram, for this diagram, I took example for the language called Exanica Campa, and representing prosodic and morphological structure. The left edge of the grammatical word is defined by the initial segment of the stem O. Here we can say we can see that O is the grammatical structure. O is the initial segment in the grammatical structure, but in the prosodic structure, T is the initial segment, and the uh, initial segment. Hence, the both edges do not coincide, or we can say that it is a violation of align L. Here about the Assamese language. Assamese is the primary language of Assam. It is recognized by the constitution as one of the statutory languages of India. Assamese is basically an Aryan languages. Yet the non-Aryan languages that were here since time immemorial has also contributed to enrich of it. Apart from non-Aryan languages, the Magadhi, Prakrit tribal language, English, Spanish, Arabian, etc. too have contributed to the overall development of Assamese language. The influence of English is distinctly seen in the formation of many of the words in Assamese language. Here we have the basic structure for Assamese morphemes. It is the word or part of word that has meaning. We know that morphemes are grammatical, and that means each and every morphemes grammatical segments has their own meaning, and it can be divided into smaller meaningful parts without violation. It cannot be divided, and there are some inflectional morpheme like gender, number, and definiteness. For gender, we can say that this example called hiali. Here li suffix added in the root hial. Hial means and the male fox, and hiali when e is inserted in the root form, that it become a female fox. And second example, gos bur, that means trees. Bur suffix is added in the root. And the third example, tu, that is a definite marker. Laura tu, that means the boy. The suffix tu is added here. And the derivational morpheme, there are two types of derivational morphemes. We know class maintaining and class changing. The fuloni, the word fuloni, full means flower, and oni, this suffix is added in the root to form the word fuloni, that means garden. And the word okhadhu in Assamese, o is prefix. Prefix is added in the root form hadhu to create the word okhadhu, means dishonest. And class changing morphemes are like khel way. Khel means play, and way suffix is added here to create the word player. And the ghor ua, ghor means house, and ua suffix is added here to create the word ghorua, means domestic. There are examples of some prefixation in Assamese like Tachama prefixes, native prefixes, foreign prefixes, and negation. In Tachama prefixes, the prefix opo called opo and man, the root form man, opoman, both of the two morphemes create opoman, that means disrespect or insult. And the second one is native prefixes. All prefixes added in the sinaki to create the word osinaki, mean unknown. And the foreign prefixes like benam, be suffix prefix is added in the root form nam to form the word benam, means anonymous. And the negation formation nilikhu, lik is the main verb, and ni no is the marker for negation, and nilikhu means will not write. In the suffixation process, suffixes can be added to nouns, adjective, adverb, and verbs in Assamese. Suffixes in Assamese are both inflectional or can be derivational. A verb like nukualu heten, that means would not have feet, and dekuai sila means sown. And nouns like titis thapakotabat means elasticity, and ordho sondakar means semicircular. I have given some diagram for that. Here we can say that the verb nukhualu heten, that does not coincide with the prosodic word, does not coincide with a grammatical word. I will explain it. These are the syllable break of the word nukhualu heten, and given below are the grammatical break for the word nukhualu heten. That not all the time a grammatical word coincides with the prosodic word. Here nu kho wa lu, heten are grammatical component of the word nukhu, alu, heten. On the other hand, nu, khu, a, lu, heten, all are these are the five component of the um, grammatical word. Then we can say that nu remains same for both of these two segment grammatical word and prosodic word. They remain same, but in the second segment, khu, the nucleus of the nucleus of the for this segment, it broken into two parts in the grammatical level. And lu is remains same for both of the prosodic level and grammatical level. He also remains same. He and ten, this is change, and he ten, this is segment of the two segment in syllable level, he ten, but in the grammatical level it remains same. Thus we have six segment in prosodic level and only 5 segment in grammatical level. Therefore you can say that the prosodic of structure of this word nukwaluheten do not coincide with the grammatical word. And another example like the kuaisila, de kuaisila. These all are the syllable segment of the word in prosodic level, but in the morpheme level, or we can say grammatical structure, it is different. Like dek, here dek is broken into two parts in syllable level, but in the grammatical level, it is only one segment. That is dek. And u, a, also they are single segment in grammatical level, but in prosodic level they are both are in the added in the first segment. And is, this is an single segment, and il and a. And here also we can say that this the word for the quasila does not coincide in prosodic or structure or grammatic structure. This is the example in Assamese verb, and we have another example like noun. Thetis thabokota bat means elasticity. Here we say that the prosodic is in prosodic structure. The word the syllable breaks are there: thi, ti, tha, po, ko, ta, bat. But in a grammatical structure, we can also got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only five segments. And the sthiti word in grammatical structure, the word shiti, it became two segment of syllable segment in prosodic structure. Also the sthapak, the single morpheme broken into three parts in prosodic structure. Then o, this is a single segment, and ta, it remains same for both of the two prosodic word and grammatical word. And vat, this also remains same. And also there are in prosodic level we got 7 segments, and in grammatical level we got only five segments, and they are meaningful. Therefore we can also say that the word for titisthapakotavat, the prosodic structure of this word does not coincide with the grammatical word. Likewise, the another example, ordho sondakar. Here we say you can see that order, this single morpheme that broken into two parts in two syllable in prosodic structure, that is or and tho. But in the grammatical word, this is only one segment, that is ordo. And the second segment, sondro, this is also two segments in prosodic word, that is son and draw. And the third one is guard. This is remains same for both of the two prosodic and grammatical word. And here in prosodic word we got 6 segments, and in the grammatical word we got only 3 segments. Therefore, we can say that the prosodic word for ordo sondakar, this is does not coincide with the grammatical word. To conclude, I would say the arguments that demonstrate the various ways in which morpheme location are exhibited, as well as how morpheme position can be altered phonologically. And the central claim of this paper is that the affix come in two flavors, that is prefixes and suffixes. And we can also say the align L and align R, and that any divergence from a location at the left or the right edge is phonologically based. Here is the references. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanika. If Ma'am Kavita and Madri, if they allow me, can I ask questions?
Yes, yes, Dr. Monali, you are the expert here. We have invited you to do this.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Anyways,
Please go ahead.
yeah. Okay. Thank you, Kanika, for your presentation on the case study on Assamese morphemes based on generalized alignment as an interface area. I have a few things for you to look at. First of all, I want you to go to the slide where you have given, I guess, number and definiteness. Can you please go to that slide?
Sure, ma'am.
So you have given these inflectional morphemes as gender, number, and definiteness. Previous one. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
So you have given the counterpart for male and female in gender as hiali and hial. Now, if you want to give the counterpart of singularity and plurality in number, then basically Laura 2 is singular, right? Because if it's pluralized, it will be Laura Bur. So
Yes, ma'am.
I guess definiteness is, correlated with singularity in number, which is why you have multiple markers semantically for definiteness based on animacy whenever they're singular, but you have just a few selected uh, plural markers for them like bur, bilak, and jak and all that. So you please look into this because definiteness does not come alone, but it comes with number in Assamese. Then
Yes.
I would also like to go to the next slide where you mentioned negation and native prefixes. So if you look at the native prefix o, and o is definitely a negative prefix, and you again mention negation where ni is a negative prefix, so why don't you just include them together in native prefixes where you have o and where you have ni? Why did you separate them? Is there any reason?
Actually, ma'am, I found this example in a Assamese book. That's why I separately mentioned it here.
Yeah, but then o is also negation, right?
Yes, ma'am. Oh, it's also negation.
So you please look into it, and maybe when you start writing the paper, then you can start, relooking and rebrushing whatever you have read from those work and do some bit of correction here.
Yes, ma'am.
Then your tree diagram of the syllable structure of phonological word and grammatical word that you have given for, this one. Um, I think you have to break the lu in Nukwaluheten because there are two morphemes here and there are two different syllables. La indicates time and u indicates person. So you have broken nu, you have broken ku, and you have broken a, and there has to be a la and an u. Which is why you were finding discrepancies in this, and then the quasila. So there again you have a de, ku, a, is, il, and a. So your example and the diagram are not going hand in hand. So you please see into it that you cannot always have open syllabic in structure in your this example here. So the diagram has to be rechecked because it's not matching your segmentation, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So it will be de, ku, a, is, il, and a. Um, and then I would like to ask you, since you were mentioning about the kind of affixation that is there in Assamese, it is definitely more suffixing than prefixing. But are these affixes assimilated? Are they contiguous? Are they regular? What is your observation, Kanika?
Affixes for basically regular.
They're regular? Okay. Okay, so there could have been more examples, to add if that is the case. But then you have just given few examples based on the points, which is why I was not able to, relate with those points. It was a good attempt, Kanika. So I think these are my observations. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Monali, so much for your very valuable suggestions. Some of which I also didn't note, but I left it for you because it would be more efficient coming from you. I'm sure Kanika can use your expertise and use your suggestions and use the knowledge that you have shared with her today and can do better in her future presentations with us. Thank you, Kanika, so much for joining us here today. And obviously, it goes without saying, thank you, Dr. Monali, so much. And all of you, whoever has stayed so far in our first presentation, thank you very much. We will have the next presentation, the next lecture on 16th, and the next Saturday. And we would like to thank you all for joining us.
Hello, excuse me.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Reena. Actually, don't the participant have a way in which we can ask questions? I just wanted some clarifications from.
I just assumed that you had none. I am so sorry for doing that. Please go ahead. Kindly get participant questions. Dr. Reena, please go ahead.
All right, thank you so very much. Should I introduce myself because this is the first time that I am attending this talk?
Absolutely. Please
okay.
do.
Yeah, all right. I am Reena Ashem. I am a trained linguist. Actually, my PhD was also in trying to understand the interface that takes place between morphosyntactic structure and its implication on the morphophonological side of it. And this topic really, really interested me because this is exactly what I worked on. And getting to see some other data apart from the data that you have worked on is what brought me to this presentation. So Kanika, I have a couple of questions, like I have 3 or 4 questions. Would you like me to ask the questions all together in one go, or would you like me to ask the question one by one?
You can ask me one by one.
Okay, all right. First and foremost, thank you very much for the presentation and the interesting data. Now, I am going to ask all basic questions. The first question that I have is, how do you determine what is a prosodic word in the language that in the data that you presented? So the first and second question kind of like go hand in hand. So maybe I'll put the second question as well, and then you can answer accordingly. What is the process? What is the phonological process, and what is the mechanism through which helped you in determining that this structure is a prosodic word in the data that you discussed?
Yes, basically prosodic words, these contain like syllable, foot, mora, etc. But in a grammatical structure, it's all the segments, they are meaningful. They have their own meaning. But in the prosodic,
yes. Sorry. Yeah, please go ahead.
But in the prosodic level, the mora, foot, or syllable, they might or might not be have any meaning.
All right. So if I'm understanding this correctly, what you're trying to determine is that a morpheme is basically the basic unit that you are taking as the grammatical category that needs to be mapped onto the prosodic category. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Then the question that follows is, are you making a distinction between a root and a suffix? If so, then how does this indicate in your prosodic structure? So let me try and simplify this question for you again. So if you're taking morphemes as the grammatical unit that needs to be mapped onto a prosodic unit, are you making a distinction in the morphological unit? Are you making a distinction between a root versus a suffix, be it a prefix or be it should I say, yeah, be it a prefix or a suffix? Are you making a distinction between root, a morpheme that comes with a grammatical category such as a verb, a noun, an adjective, versus something else which indicates suffix information somewhere. Let's, for example, when I was interested in looking at the example that you have the verbal paradigm wherein you had a lot of affixation. Are you keeping a close tab on what kind of affix, or what are the unit that gets mapped onto a prosodic word?
In the grammatical structure, basically the distinction between, I made the distinction between grammatical structure and prosodical structure. So basically I look the prosodic structure and what way they are different for grammatical structure. And in grammatical structure, the affixation, like whatever example I did, they are basically meaningful. That means grammatically they are meaningful. And root form is there is the main, we can say that the main body of the word, and the affixation.
So in the data that you have seen so far, did you see any difference that exists between a root and an affix? Because when we're looking at all this prosodic structure, we have the idea of root faithfulness also, right? Wherein the prediction or the argument is that a root will resist from showing any sort of phonological alternation, but a prefix might show. But again, that depends on what kind of a structure that we are talking about. If it's something that maybe you haven't looked at it, I think it would be good if you can look at it. And secondly, if you're taking morphemes, the reason why I asked about whether you are paying a close attention, or whether it's a root or a morpheme or an affix, is because what kind of difference do you see between a derived context wherein you have a verb root and a verbal suffixes versus a verb root and a verb root? For example, when you have, if I'm not very sure about this, but if Assamese has language like complex verb structures or compound verbs that's there in Hindi, what kind of structural difference do you see in terms of the prosodic realization? If such structure is not present in the verbal paradigm, then what kind of difference do you see in a nominal paradigm wherein you see a nominal root interacting with a suffix versus a nominal root interacting with another nominal root in the form of a compound?
Actually, roots are there, stand for their they have own meaning. But when we edit the affixes, that can be suffix or prefix, we this process is only for like negation, compounding something, pluralize something, etc.
Okay, so that means we have seen only the root versus affixes part, right?
Yes.
Because negation, pluralization, they are all grammatical categories as such, which can come under the affixation part. Maybe like if this is something that you have, you still need to investigate. Maybe that's something that can help you kind of like explain why, because towards the end of your presentation, the understanding that I got was you were trying to show some mismatch that exists, right, between the prosodic structures.
Yes, the mismatch between the prosodic and the grammatical.
Yes, and so
but not
you
within the
prosodic structure.
Yes.
Okay, so then if you're trying to show the mismatch between the prosodic structure and the grammatical structure, I think it would be also interesting if you try and look at what is the structural difference, because the moment you have a lot of structural difference, a lot of implication kind of comes about in the prosodic structure as well. So these are some of the questions that I have in mind. And I think, okay, then what about standalone nouns? For example, can you have tree, boy? Are you going to argue that they don't exist as a prosodic word per se because they don't have a suffix, or how are you going to categorize them?
I mentioned the example tree, gauze, in Assamese gauze. To pluralize it, I add a suffix called bur.
Okay.
Gauze bur. That means trees.
Okay. Does Assamese, does the language that you're investigating also have nominal items or nominal root, wherein you just have a V, a vowel, rather than a CV structure or a CVC? And if at all you have, then how do they behave? For example, I can give you an instance in Maithlon, because I am a Maithlon speaker, and we have words for tree, we have words for blood, wherein we have only one vowel items, u, e, and the likes of that. So at those instances, how do they behave? Can they exist on their own, in the sense, can they be pronounced as a independent phonological unit, or do they need the help of some suffixal item in order to surface?
Actually, my work is only in the introduction part, and this is based on the theoretical.
Completely understandable. Okay.
I'm so sorry I have to interrupt. I would I would like to say that Kanika is still an MA student. I think this is a term paper that she is presenting, or
okay, all right.
still work.
Okay.
So yes, considering the fact that you yourself have such great deal and depth of knowledge in this particular area, we would absolutely love to have you on board to explain.
That would be great. Yeah, I can. Yeah, but anyways, it was a really interesting data. And in fact, I have been trying to understand this entire notion of word as such, because see, when we are looking at the examples that was presented to us, especially for an agglutinating language, we might just say it's a word, it's morpheme, but syntactically, when you look at it, the sentence trees, the structure is much, much more larger. So then you need to understand what the syntactic composition of that structure is in order to determine what the prosodic, how does this implicate, or how does this come about in the phonological realization or the prosodic realization of that structure. So that's why I was just asking. I'm really sorry, Kanika, if I confused you, but I just wanted to understand the data.
I'm sure Kanika is extremely excited at having somebody who's so inverse with the exact topic that she is working with, and I'm sure she'll be willing to and will be more than excited to share with you more information. I would encourage you to get in touch.
Yeah, sure. I got to know about this presentation from Bipasha Di, because she was my senior when I was doing my MA and MPhil, and I got to see the topic, and I was like, I need to attend this talk, and that's how I came here.
If you're there on Facebook, then we have the Society for Endangered and Lesser Known Languages website. All of members there, you can get in touch with Kanika via there, or if you share your email ID or phone number right here with Kanika, I'm sure she would love to be in touch.
Definitely, certainly. I will be more than happy to do that. Yeah.
This is the reason why we do this in the first place, in order to encourage the young scholars to come ahead come forward with the work, and have senior scholars advise them the way you have done. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Dr. Ashmi, yes. Thank you so much. And all of you, Dr. Monali, if you have any final words, then, or if you don't, then we can just we can bring this to a closure, or if anybody else has any more questions.
Yeah, I would request all the participants to keep your questions short, as maximum as 2 questions, because there are many participants also who are, willing to ask questions, are interested to know more, and we have just 1 minute left. But we can ask Primli if she has any questions. She raised her hand. So just 1 question, 1 person, please.
Yes. Anybody else? Do we have anyone? Someone did raise hands, right? I saw that. Okay, now since we are done, it's 7:30, and I think we are closing at the perfect time today. And it was a very healthy discussion with Dr. Asham, and thank you very much, Kanika. I would encourage you to get in touch with her, and obviously Dr. Monali as well, because she's the expert in this in today's lecture, and she did give you some very interesting and valid observations and points to look at for further work into the field that you have been working in. So thank you very much, all of you, for joining us here today, and we'll see you again next Saturday. Thank you very much.